Okay. Okay. So I'm Denise Lincoln from Kerens. I'm the TGCA basketball chair. Coach Sanders is the vice chair, and he's going to be taking over next year. This is our first time to do the pre-state tournament um, from just from the basketball chair. Usually they have somebody from TGCA, but that wasn't. So I'm on Lee's, but actually he's recording and he's going to turn all the information. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start it. The first matchup, go ahead and I'll go ahead and let you all introduce yourself. So Vicki, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and something about you?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I'm Vicki Benson. I'm the girls basketball coach at Westlake High School. I'm the TABC vice president this year. So um, that's it.
Good. Okay, Coach Tucker.
Hello, everybody. I'm Coach Tucker. I'm the associate head coach at North Crowley High School in Fort Worth, Texas. I was asked to come on here by Anthony, so just filling in for you guys.
Thank you. Coach McQuarrie.
Yes, I'm Anthony McQuarrie. I'm the head girls basketball coach at Mineola High School. And just here to help out any way I can with some of the small school stuff. Coach Lincoln invited me to be on here.
Thank you. Coach Carrell. Okay, I think we lost him. Coach Sanders.
Yeah, I'm Jason Sanders. I'm the head girls basketball coach at Boerne Champion High School. It's my third year there, and I think 22nd year of doing this coaching thing overall. So, I know a little bit about some of the bigger schools and maybe a little about some of the smaller schools. So, I'll try to put in as much information as I can.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys for being on. This is new to me. I'm not really good with technology, but we're gonna get through this. So let's go ahead and start with the Division One, 1A Division Two. The matchup is Nazareth and Jayton. I see that Nazareth has been there 31 times, and very successful program that they have running there. They won it in 2023, but didn't make it last year. And then Jayton, I really don't know a whole lot about Jayton, but I think that coming from what they are, I'm sure it's going to be a good matchup. I'm not sure. I haven't got the information on what day, if it's Monday or Tuesday, but Nazareth, I'm sure they're already biting at the bits to get to the championship game.
I mean, Nazareth, they're here. They're a staple at the state tournament. They're there, seems like every single year, and tradition doesn't ever seem to graduate there. So they're always going to be a top pick, a top choice year in and year out.
Anybody else?
I can't put any much input on either one of these. I kind of agree that Nazareth's just always good. They're always at the state tournament, but I don't know much about, the smaller 1A schools, just because I'm not too familiar with those. I haven't been involved with too many of those small schools like that, but I kind of agree with what Jason just said. Nazareth is a staple at the state tournament for several years, so that experience that they have of just knowing how to win and knowing how to be there, I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Yes.
I
am. Go ahead.
I believe Jayton was in it last year too, weren't they?
I think it was Turkey Valley that beat Nazareth out last year.
Yeah, but wasn't Jayton in the tournament last year?
Jayton?
Yes.
well, from what my record, I didn't see that. I see they have 4 appearances,
Okay.
but I don't think they were there last year. Now,
Okay.
possibly before, but they do have 4 appearances. I
Yes.
know the records are 27-9 for Nazareth, and Jayton is 25-12. And they are the runner-up. I noticed on all of these, except maybe another school, 2 teams was all the winner coming out, well as Division 1, Division 2 when they split up. But it looks like Jayton came up the runner-up in 15. So I don't know if they might be getting that hot shot going on right now. So I'm sure it's going to be a good matchup.
Yes, it will.
And then the next one is Saltillo and Zavala. Saltillo is 33-6 and Zavala is 23-13. And they have, each of them have 3 state appearances. I've heard Zavala's been very competitive. Saltillo, I know we played them years back and they were very competitive. I don't know too much about them this year. I haven't really heard a whole lot. Since the breaking up of the divisions, it's put a lot more schools in there, more teams. It seems like that we have going to the state tournament this year. So anybody have any information on either team? Okay, so I would be going with, I guess, if I had to pick from those 2, I think my pick would be Nazareth and Zavala in that championship game at the state tournament. What is some of y'all's predictions?
I like Nazareth to win the Nazareth and Jayton game, and then I think Saltillo is pretty good. Coach Davison over at Saltillo, I think it's his 2nd year. He was there a long time ago, but then he went back this year. But he used to be in our district before he went to Saltillo and was really good. He was at Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill. So I like Saltillo and Nazareth to be in championship for those 2.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, we can go on to the 1A Division 1, where you have Morton County and Eula matching up. Borden County has 3 appearances and Eula has 3 appearances. Their records is 28-8 for Borden County, and Eula has 35-2. That's their record. They both are coming from on the divisions where they split up the winner. Anybody have any information?
I don't know a whole lot about those. I mean, Eula, obviously at 35-2, has handled their business this year. And I think I mean, if I were picking based solely off of that, I think that's what I'd be going with.
Yeah. Now, last year, Borden County, I remember us talking about them. And if I'm not mistaken, Turkey Valley may beat them out to make it, but I know neither one of them was there last year.
They played earlier this season, and I mean, it was back early in November, and Eula beat Borden County 58-42 early in the season. I know that a lot of things changed from November to now, obviously, but
Yes. All right. And then our next matchup is Broadus and Natchez. Broadus is 33-4 and Natchez is 22-7. Both teams very successful programs. I know Natchez has been in the state tournament since 2021, been there 13 times. Um, Broadus has been there once, but I know they do have a successful program. I guess they just have never made it to state. But I know there's a lot of knowledge there on that Natchez team. I know a lot of those are seniors. They were juniors last year, and I believe Newcastle beat them.
Yeah, so I know a little bit, excuse me, about Natchez just being from East Texas, but I think like the seniority plays a big part. So I think Natchez would probably edge them out just based off of the experience that they do have. I do feel like they've been well coached the last couple of years by the new coach. However, I'm not sure about the final. If Natchez were to get by Broadus, I don't know the other two matchups. I'm just very familiar with them. So I do think that they'll win the state semifinal game.
I actually we played Natchez early this year, or I say early, it was like late November, early December maybe. And we played them in Natchez and they beat us, and that group of seniors that he has, they've been to state obviously since 21. So I kind of agree with Coach Tucker. The seniority, I think, will play a big part in that game. I think this game is going to be really competitive, though. I've also seen Broadus play a couple times this year for a 1A Division I school. They're really big. They got some good size, big girls. They're athletic. They're long. They play the two times I watched them play, they played man to man, and they're really good. They know how to win. So I think that matchup right there will be pretty good. I can't pick a team because I don't know who will win. And I don't know much about the other two. But I think both of these two matchups will be good games. The semis and the finals for Division One.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be hard to count out the experience and the senior leadership and everything that Natchez brings to the table. When you get on that stage, that experience says a lot. But Broadus has got a fantastic record this year, and that's going to be, I think that game's going to be close either way you look at it. Just because you've been there doesn't necessarily always give you that edge, but it does help.
Broadus has beat some good teams this year too. They beat Canton in a tournament, which Canton was really good. They beat Martinsville. The Martinsville beat them early, and then they beat Martinsville in a tournament. I think Martinsville had a kid out, but they beat Martinsville. They beat Tatum. They lost to Rains by 9. So they've played some good teams along the way and some big teams and competed well with some really good teams. So they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Carroll's getting back on here
Yes.
right now, and Coach Carroll's at Canton. So,
There he is.
Coach,
Sorry.
glad you could join us. Maybe you can give us
Hey.
a little insight into Natchez or Broadus.
Okay, I think it's muted. There you go.
Hey guys,
There, hey.
sorry about that. Had a little computer issues, but I think I've got it fixed now.
We are on Broadus
about-
and go ahead, Coach
Yeah, we're
Sanders.
talking about the Broadus and Natchez matchup, and wanted to see if you could give us a little insight into that since you played one of those two.
So we played Broadus early in the season. Man, they're for a 1A school, they're extremely large. They're deep. They play about 8 or 9, 10 kids. They're really going to want to get up and down, and I know Natchez that's not really their style. It's an interesting matchup because it's going to be very contrasting. The the other part of it, I think, is that Natchez has the experience with all their senior leadership of being there, and Broadus does not. And so I'll be kind of curious to see how that part plays out. But I'm a Broadus boy. I graduated there back in '99, and I got to say I'm pulling for them a little bit. But it's going to be a good game, I think.
Now, only thing that I see that since it's the semis, they're not down there in San Antonio. So I don't know if that helps Natchez or as much as it would if it was down there. But Broadus, I see their record is 33-4. So I know it's totally different being in San Antonio. I think it'd be totally different being down there than wherever they match up. But I don't know. That would be a tough one to decide to even predict. Okay. All right. So if we're predicting the two championship teams that's going to be playing the championship for 1A Division 2, or Division 1, I'm sorry. I guess I would have to go with Borden County and Natchez is what I would think. What's some of y'all's predictions on that?
I think the opposite. I think Eula and Broadus will probably be the two in the
Okay.
championship. I just think, I mean, you only 2 losses, 35-2. I mean, it's hard to win 30 games, and you've only lost twice, and you lost to Nakona was one of them, who was really good as well. But I think it's going to be Eula and Broadus. I would like to think, just matchup wise, I think those two are better, the better of the matchups on both of them.
Others? Okay. Well, let's go to. Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to jump in real quick. I'll agree with Coach McQuarrie, and I think that it's going to be Broadus and Eula in the championship. And then when you get down to San Antonio, that's definitely going to be a toss up. But that's the two that I think that'll be there as well. So.
All right, to go on to 2A, we'll go on to 2A Division 2. Farwell and Lipan. And then we have Martinsville and Goldthwaite. So Farwell and Lipan, I know the records are 34-3 for Farwell, and Lipan is 25-11. Farwell's been there looks 3 times. They won it in 2000. Lipan, well, of course, we know they've been there 12 times. They won it in 2023. So that's the records on those two. Does anyone want to start off with those?
Amber does a great job at Lipan, obviously, because they're there consistently year in and year out. I will say that Farwell, being at 34-3, they've gone out and they've scheduled some people this year, and I was just looking at their schedule on here a little bit ago, and those 3 losses, they lost to Canyon Randall, they lost to Canyon.
Wow.
And then they lost to Fairfield by 2, and that's their 3 losses. But over Christmas break, they beat Nocona, who's in there for D1. They beat Nocona 63-38.
Wow.
So I think that Farwell's
Wow.
going to be pretty legit.
I agree with that.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I think the strength of their schedule has prepared them for this, and that's going to come up a lot later too as we talk about some of these other teams who've really scheduled tough. I think Farwell, whatever, is the favorite in that.
Yeah.
I agree with both of them. With Farwell or Farewell being better than Lipan And then like y'all just talked about their strength of schedule and some teams they played and beat and the teams they lost to are really good teams. So I think they're going to be a lot to handle.
Yeah, I agree. Looking at their schedule, they actually played La Pan earlier in the year. And they ended up beating them by I think 2022. But they also played Friendship, who's they're in 6A. I don't know if this was, their varsity, but Friendship's always been a really good program. So just piggybacking off of what everybody says, their strength of schedule, I think I have them for sure coming out.
Okay. All right, so let's go to Martins Mill and Gothwaite. Martins Mill 33-2. A lot of young players. Gothwaite is 28-9. We know Martinsville's been there forever, it seems like, 18 appearances. Gothwaite had 4. I know Gothwaite has been since we've played them years ago, they've always been on the right there, just right there on the bubble. They finally got through. Last year, Martinsville and Gothwaite played their semis, and it was 54-43. And I'm sure Gothwaite has something to play for this year, being that they lost down in the semis last year, 54-24, 23. 40. It was 54-43.
I mean, Martin's Mill, everybody knows them. They're another staple that's here year in and year out. And they've had a fantastic season. Yet again, their 2 losses were to Broadus and Winsboro. Goldthwaite has, I mean, they're in a pretty tough district. Their district's got Mason, who's been there several times recently, and they got Johnson City. Johnson City was really good this year, and they beat both of them in district play. They finished second in district, which was a little bit surprising to me. But if I were picking out of those 2, I'd probably have to say Martin's Mill.
I'll jump in a little bit here too. I can speak on it. Last year when they played in the semis, Goldthwaite seemed a little starstruck. I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue this year since they're not playing in San Antonio like was discussed earlier. Also know, the 2 studs for Goldthwaite graduated, but now they returned pretty much everybody else. And I think that's going to help them. The other side of the coin is Martins Mill we played them earlier this year, and they're really, really good. One of their losses to Broadus, their all-state sophomore guard didn't play that game. And like I said, we played them earlier in the year, and I know that he'll have them ready. He'll have them ready for Goldthwaite. And I'd probably have to pick Martins Mill and give them the edge just because, but I would not be surprised if Goldthwaite didn't slip up on them.
True. Okay. So anyone want to, for the 2 we think that might be in the championship game in San Antonio? What do we think? Anybody have predictions for that?
I'm taking Martinsville and Farwell. I think we'll be in the championship.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree as
I would
well.
agree with that as well. And
Same.
I think the semis are going to be 2 good games. But that was the 2 that I had circled.
Okay. All right. 2A Division 1. We're going Panhandle and Nocona, and LaPorter and San Saba. The records for Panhandle is 32-3, and Nocona is 30-6. As we know, Nocona state finals last year. They have 3 appearances, whereas Panhandle has 9 appearances overall. but Nakona is tops. I think they were looking really good this year. I really think they have a lot of ability there and success.
I think Nakona's really good this year. I thought that my first time seeing them play was last year in the championship against Martin's Mill, and that game was crazy game all the way through the game. The one girl that stood out to me is obviously their best player, Megan Minkins from Nakona. I thought she was really good. That's the first time I've ever seen her play was in the state championship game, and she was phenomenal. But like I said, I think they're really good. But Panhandle with a 32-3 record, this is a game that I wish was in San Antonio so I could get to watch it. But with the change of the way they did things, but I think this game is going to be really good. But I think whoever wins this Region 1, Region 2 matchup, I think will beat either one of the bottom two. I think whoever wins this Region 1, Region 2 matchup will be the state champ.
I agree with Coach McQuarrie. I think the Region 1, Region 2 matchup is, I think the winner out of that one definitely takes it now. San Saba's having a really good year, as is La Pointer. The split has definitely helped La Pointer. But I also think that Panhandle and Nakona are both extremely strong this year. And that Nakona, they last year's loss left a little bad taste in their mouth. I have a feeling they're going to come back ready to go this year. So I think Nakona takes it all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The Panhandle Nakona game is going to be a pretty good matchup. I think that's going to be a toss up. And then, like Coach Carrell just said, La Pointer, that split did them well. And I mean, they finished third in the district, and here they are. And Coach Jost, he's been around and he's done a good job at several places that he's been, and here he's got La Pointer bringing them back here again. You got San Saba back. They've been several times in recent years, so on that one, if I were picking that second matchup, I'd say San Saba.
I went to that game, the La Pointer and what is it? That was played. Oh, what? Leon. Leon beat us out, and then they went on and played Union Grove. But I just had to go see that game because I played La Pointer early in the year, and I heard how much better they was getting. At the beginning, I would have never thought that they would be sitting in this position. But I knew Coach Jost as well, and I knew he'd be changing a lot of things up. And seeing them from the very beginning of the year until the other night, man, I was very shocked. They were very much improved. San Saba, I don't know, they're 31-6 for a reason. But I agree with you with the Nakona. I think they have something more to fight for. I looked at their game from last year. It was 44-42, Martinsville and Nakona. And if you were there, you've seen it was kind of the last minute shot from that little freshman. But I would be going with Nakona to win it all as well. And I'm with you, Coach McQuarrie. I'd love to see that Panhandle Nakona game at San Antonio. Anyone else? Do I? All right, so we're going to 3A now with Division 2. Idalou and Paradise and Coots, and is it Jordanton? I'm not for sure how you pronounce that. Or they know they have 5. They won it in like 1966. They have 5 appearances. Coons has 9 appearances, and Idalou has 1, and 2, and Paradise has 1 state appearance. I'm not really familiar with these 3A, but I bet Coach McQuarrie, I know you're 3A and you probably know a lot. Y'all want to go ahead and talk about any of those?
I'm probably more familiar with the bigger schools, the Division Ones, than I am the Division Twos. But Paradise was really good last year. Edgewood ended up beating them out last year, I think, in the first round of the regional tournament, or maybe it was the third round before the regional tournament. I'm not sure how many they graduated or returned, but they've had a good year and they've beat some good teams along the way to get to where they're at. They beat Tatum and then they had to beat Bells in our Division II regional tournament. So beating Tatum was really good this year. So that was a big win for them. Also, Kuntz, I didn't get to see Kuntz play this year, but our boys coach did down in Tenaha. And he called me and told me about him back during Christmas time, whenever the Tenaha Holiday Hoops tournament was going on. And he said that Kuntz was really good. He said they were fast and athletic. They get up and down the floor. He said that he didn't know if anybody could beat them if they go small school. So I don't know a ton about the other two. I'm just not familiar with those areas. I know Idalou is usually pretty good at all the
Yes.
time. They're usually pretty good traditionally, just from tradition, I would expect them to be a tough opponent. But I like Kuntz to win the Division II. I think their athleticism and their speed and what they do, getting up and down the floor, I think they're going to be tough to beat for anybody.
I'll chime in next. I know Coach Helms, Tyler at Idalou pretty good, and I know there's not many coaches that are going to have their teams more prepped and prepared than he does. I did get to see a little bit of Paradise play the other day because they actually played a regional tournament and it was in Kaufman, which is one of the next towns over. They beat Bells in the regional finals, and they're extremely good, very disciplined. They've got a lot of kids. They've got some good size, good speed. I'm still going to take Idalou in that state semifinal game. I think they're just going to grind it out. It'll be a 36-29 type game. And on the other side of that, Kuntz and Jordanton. Kuntz is one of those teams. They're going to play pace. They're going to make them get up and down. They're going to definitely try to score a bunch of points. And I think that Kuntz takes that semifinal game, and we'll have a Kuntz Idalou in the championship game. And then I think the championship game will come down to two very contrasting styles. Idalou, slow it down, grind it out, possession by possession, versus Kuntz, which is going to press and try to get up and down and go. And the championship game will be a good one. It'll be just a matter of which type of styles win in that one, if that's who the matchups are. But I think Idalou gets it done this year. I think, they go through a tough district in shallow water and some of those teams where you really have to prep and prepare. And I think in Division II, Idalou wins it this year. That's my prediction.
I agree with what you said. I know Tyler too, and the preparation that he puts into things. Not that the other coaches that are in it don't. I just don't know them personally, but I know he's very strategic about what he does all year long to lead up to this, and he'll have some tricks in his back pocket that nobody's seen before. He just holds on to some things to wait for these moments, and so his kids know that. They're probably excited about seeing if that chess match works, and I think they'll end up winning that game too.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't don't know a whole lot about Paradise, but I do know Coach Helms at Idalou, and he's going to have his teams prepared. They were runner up in that tough district, and but they're going to be prepared. And then Kuntz and Jordanton. I mean, one of Kuntz's 3 losses was to Martins Mill. They lost to Martins Mill by 12, and so I mean they're obviously very talented. I know they've got a couple of girls that can really go and put up a lot of points. Like they said, they like to play pretty fast. And then Jordanton lost to Cuero, who's in it for the 4A. They lost to them twice. They lost once by 11 and the second time by 3. So I'm not going to count Jordanton out. I think that Kuntz Jordanton game is going to be pretty good. It's probably going to be back and forth, probably a high scoring ball game. And so I'd probably say, if I were picking this, I'd say Idalou and Kuntz in the championship game. And man, it's going to be a complete toss up as to who I would pick to win it all.
All right. That's gonna be, I agree with y'all as well. I think that's gonna be a great one down there in San Antonio. Okay, so 3A Division One, we have Jim Ned in Winsboro, and then Fairfield and West Oso. Records are all high records, 34-2. Jim Ned, Winsboro, 35-3. Fairfield, 31-6. West Oso, 31-5. Looks like all the records are high, a lot of wins, a lot of good games. What do you think? What do we think on that one? That should be some
This is
good matchups.
this is another game that I wish was in San Antonio so I'd get to watch it. I think they're playing in China Springs, so that's not too far for some of us, but this is a game that I wish I could see in San Antonio. Winsboro obviously beat us out in the third round, and we've been in Winsboro's district for the last, I don't know, 4 or 6 years prior to this realignment. So I played them a few times and just got to see them a few times. They're really good at what they do. They got a sophomore guard, Hadley Brown, who I think is probably arguably one of the best 3A players in the state. They also had a senior heavy lineup. They had a good group of juniors last year that went to the regional finals, and Rains ended up beating them. But that group of seniors most of them have been on varsity since they were freshmen or sophomores, and they've been together for a little while. But they're really good. So I'm kind of biased to Winsboro because I'm so familiar with them. I know Fairfield's obviously really good too. I also played them this year. I think they're just as good as they have been in the past years. Maybe not quite as good, but they're still Fairfield. But I think all of these matchups are going to be really good. All top 10 rankings. Jim Ned's number 1, Winsboro's number 2, Fairfield's number 4, and then West Oso's number 7. So I think all these games are going to be really good games, really good matchups. I don't know who I can pick from any one of them to win any game or to win it all. So
I'm not very familiar with either one of these teams just being in 6A for a while. However, I did see Winsboro their strength of schedule, and I think they played some really tough teams and they've pulled out those wins. Just given the information that you guys have provided, I just feel like it is too close to call. I think it'd be a great matchup, and I mean, like you said, I kind of wish these were still in San Antonio, but not giving too much information. I just think it'd be too close to call.
So we played Winsboro this year in the championship game of their tournament back in early December. And the sophomore guard that he's talking about, she was one that we knew she was good, and we knew she had the capability of scoring a lot. We just didn't realize really how good she was and her ability to take over a game, I guess. They ended up beating us in overtime, and she scored 25 of their 40 points. I mean, it was a grind game. We made them really kind of grind it out. And in years past, a lot of the Winsboro teams, in my opinion, they don't really like to grind. They'd rather just get up and down and score a whole bunch. And I think that's what's different about this team this year is that they can slow it down and they can go possession by possession if they need to and just kind of really work it out. Now, the other side of that is the Jim Ned. That's exactly what I would think that they're going to want to do coming out of that Region 1. I agree with Coach McQuarrie. It's a game that if our boys weren't playing on Tuesday, that's where I would be watching that game. And then Region 3, Region 4, Fairfield and West Oso are both really good programs traditionally as well. West Oso, has had several trips out of Region 4, and Fairfield has been really good in Region 3 for the last several years. And Fairfield is still as good. It's a different kind of good than a couple of years ago, but they're still equally good. And, that's a toss up. I would have to go with Fairfield on that one. And then out of Jim Ned and Winsboro, I think if I don't pick Winsboro, I may get a phone call after this meeting. So I'll have to go with Winsboro on that one. And I think they break through. I think Winsboro wins it this year. Cochran's gotten them there several times over the last year. The first year they got there in 2018, I was at Woodville and we beat them in the state semifinal game. and they've gotten a little closer every year, and I think they break through and win it all this year. So that's my pick for this one, Winsboro in 3A Division One.
I agree with you guys as well. I think Winsboro will take that one in the finals. Fairfield, I think it'll be Winsboro and Fairfield as well. And I'm going with Winsboro. I just really think they've been there a lot. They're traditionally good at what they do. I haven't seen them this year, but I have seen them in the past. So, all right. Anything else on 3A? Okay, 4A. Coach Sanders, do you want me to just read off the matchups, or do you want to?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll just read off the matchups and we'll kind of go from there. All right, so we got 4A Division 2, Glen Rose and Lincoln. That was Lincoln, and then Bridge City and Cuero. Their records: Glen Rose records 36-2. Lincoln is 37-2. Then you have Bridge City was 35-3, and Cuero is 32-6.
I guess I'll start this one since I'm 4A Division 2. The semifinal matchup between Glen Rose's Lincoln and Lincoln is probably one that I think in Division 2 or in 4A we probably have seen coming since about July of last, during the summer. Glen Rose is led by Milton and Reinders. They're two stud seniors along with some other kids, and they're unbelievable. We played them earlier this year in College Station in the championship game, and those two kids, along with their other ones, can really play. And Dallas Lincoln is Dallas Lincoln. They've got a kid that's got a full ride offer to Oklahoma State and a couple other kids, and I've seen them play this year as well. They beat us in the regional finals last year. They're extremely good. They're extremely deep. They lost to La Vega in overtime last year, and to me, they're better than they were last year. They only graduated one kid off their team last year, and then they picked up a few freshmen this year, and they play a lot of kids. They play disciplined. They play very sound. They're extremely athletic. Glen Rose is going to be methodical. They're going to grind it if they ever get a lead. They'll spread you out. They'll really make you play. Very, very contrasting styles in those two. A straight semifinal game that's going to be really, really good. And then you look at Region 3, Region 4, Bridge City. I'm pretty sure they either start 3 freshmen, 4 freshmen, or 5 freshmen. I mean, they're really, really young, super young team, very athletic, likes to get up and down. One of their losses was to Broadus earlier in the year, and I think they've really kind of come a long ways. And then the opposite side of that is Cuero, who is led by their 3 seniors. They're very senior heavy, so you're going to have a team that's a lot of experience, a lot of seniors, and versus a team that's going to have a lot of youth. And the Bridge City Cuero matchup, I'm going to go with Cuero, and then I'm going to go with Lincoln out of the other semifinal game. And I think Lincoln wins it all this year decisively. I really do. I think they win it all handily. I think if Glen Rose is able to beat Lincoln, then I would pick Glen Rose. But I think the Region 1, Region 2 winner is my favorite for to win it all. So.
Yeah, Coach, I think that Glen Rose Lincoln matchup, like you said, that's one that people saw coming. I know that the small school Region 2 was just a beast to get through with Sunnyvale, you and Lincoln all in that same deal. I mean, that's 3 super tough teams there. So that's, and Glen Rose, I haven't seen either one of those two play. I think that game's going to be a toss-up. But Bridge City, like you said, they've got a lot of really young talent. I think it's 5 or 6 freshmen on the varsity team, and he told me I think that they're starting 3 or 4 of them. So they are very young and they're going to be good for a while. So I think that them not having to play in San Antonio and being able to play at Columbus in a smaller gym is gonna, work to their favor, and not having those bright lights, kind of be in awe of them. Cuero, I have seen them; they are good. So I think that's going to be a good game. But if I were picking out of those two, I'd probably have to say Bridge City. Um, and their first time ever making it to the state tournament, being able to make it to state finals too. But I think that Region 1, Region 2 is going to be the ultimate state champ overall.
I think Lincoln wins that matchup with Glen Rose. They're both teams are holding teams to under 30 points a game for the season, which is super impressive. But one of them, I think, does it defensively, which is Lincoln. I think the other just plays a slower pace. I think they try to slow people down so the scores aren't as high. So you have a defensive team versus a team that likes to play a little slower. But at the end of the day, Lincoln losing in overtime last year to La Vega, I'm sure they're glad that they're not playing La Vega. They won't play them this year. I think that would have been another crazy game for them. But I think that Lincoln beat Monterey by 2 this year. That's a huge deal. They also beat South Grand Prairie. Those are 2 really tough teams that they were able to pull out wins against. And so for me, it's Lincoln for sure over Glen Rose. And then the other matchup is interesting. Bridge City is led by 2 of those freshmen. He's got 4 or 5 of them, but 2 of them actually lead that team in scoring. They lead in everything, but they're small. Then you've got Cuero on the other side, who's got 2 giants, a 6'4" and a 6'1", that are averaging double doubles. And so I don't know how. I haven't seen Bridge City, but I just feel like that the size that Cuero has and the experience led by seniors as opposed to freshmen, I think that they have the advantage in that game. And then I agree that Lincoln probably ends up winning that one in the finals.
Okay. All right. So the next one is the Division 1 in 4A. We have Decatur against Maybank. Decatur's record's 34-2, and Maybank is 31-6. And then the other one is La Vega is 31-6, and Fredericksburg is 31-6 as well. I know a little bit of a few of these. I know Coach Grona at Fredericksburg, she's been working hard with them. I know she's been playing a tough schedule. I've been keeping up with her, and then she has La Vega there. We know La Vega. You guys already said. But there are some good matchups right there. I wish they were all in San Antonio, but who wants to start with that?
I will, if that's okay. Both of the, I'm going to start with La Vega and Fredericksburg. Both of those teams were at our tournament early in November. We actually played both of them, and that's the tournament where Fredericksburg shocked the world and beat Duncanville. It was an awesome game to watch them do that. And then, gosh, they're just 2 completely different types of styles of teams. And, Grona's daughter for Fredericksburg, she is a small but mighty force to be reckoned with. The kid can shoot it from half court if she wants to. And she was no trouble for those Duncanville long, big players because they just couldn't get out there and guard her that far away from the 3. But La Vega, the experience, what are they, back-to-back state champions? They're back again. They've got their Texas State commit, Angela Carrell, who's playing really well at this time of year. Their guard play is really solid. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think that Fredericksburg is really good. I think La Vega is really good. If Hartman for Fredericksburg is doing her thing and Grona's doing her thing, they're really, really tough combo to beat. It's going to be a close one in my opinion. I think La Vega wins it. I wish that was more of like the championship, but unfortunately it's not. I think whoever wins that will win it all.
Yeah, I agree with Coach Benson. We actually played La Vega this year early. However, I did see the Fredericksburg game with them beating Duncanville just because of skim or film scout. I think that if La Vega can't guard the three, like they usually can, they might Fredericksburg actually might give them some trouble. I know they excuse me, they had a hard time defending, our 3-point shot at the time. But they're quick, they're fast, they run a nice 1-2-2 packed in type jump press and they move it back. If Fredericksburg can actually handle their pressure, I think it'll be a really good game. And if they can spread them out and slow La Vega down, it would also be in their favor. So I think it'll be a really good game. But like I said, if they can shoot it like they have been all year, I think Fredericksburg actually might get them, just given, both personnels. And Fredericksburg actually, like I said, like kind of like Coach Benson said, they've actually played a really tough schedule. Just being up here in DFW, the talent that's up here, them being able to, beat these teams is a big deal in my opinion. So, like I said, if whoever wins this game is probably going to come out on top at the end in San Antonio, and I think it'll be a really good game.
I wanna add too, La Vega makes a lot of mistakes because that's just that's who they are. And Fredericksburg doesn't. And they're a lot more disciplined. And I think if they catch La Vega, if they capitalize on La Vega's mistakes and score in those moments, it makes it a little tougher for La Vega. And then I think they may be a little more undisciplined in that retrospect when that does happen. But Fredericksburg has to hit shots. They've got to they can't, I mean, they live or die by those two guards hitting shots. And so if they're hitting shots, I think if they capitalize in those big moments, I agree. It's just gonna be a good game. I wish it was in San Antonio.
Yeah, I agree. The La Vega Fredericksburg game is going to be a game to watch. And it's going to be two very different styles. Fredericksburg can play fast, but I think that they'll try to really control that tempo in this game. And as long as they can handle any pressure La Vega's throwing at them and things like that, I kind of feel like Fredericksburg may come out on top in this one. Coach Gronin does a great job. They've got good shooters, so as long as they're able to knock down shots, then they're going to give themselves a chance. And like you said, Coach Benson, La Vega's going to make mistakes, and Fredericksburg does capitalize on those mistakes. And they're a very defensive oriented team, and so I think that they'll be able to contain La Vega, but I could be wrong. And then on that other side, that first game, Decatur and Maybank, I don't know a whole lot about either one of those two. I do know that Decatur has, like, they've been a very strong program for a while, and I feel like they've just kind of been knocking on that door. And I think this may be the year for them to open that door and get that championship game. So, and I think that if I were picking, I would probably pick Decatur to get it all this year.
Actually, I did see. Oh, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead. You're good.
I did see Decatur this year. They played a team, I forgot where we were at Lancaster, and they've knocked off some really big programs up here, and I think that their strength and schedule has definitely prepared them for this moment. I do think that they'll get to the final, and I do think it'll be a really good game because they're really well coached. They spread the floor really well. They can shoot it. They defend the drive really well, so they run that pack defense. But their strength and schedule this year, they beat some really good teams. In the two games that they have lost, they're 5-6A. So I do think he's doing a really good job over there as well. So that'll actually be a really good final game as well. If whoever comes out of that Fredericksburg and La Vega matchup. But Decatur, they could possibly knock off either one of them because they're playing so well this year. I actually didn't even know that they were 4A when I was watching them play. They don't play like a 4A team. So that's just my 2 cents for them.
Yeah, I'm looking at Decatur's schedule right now. They've broke 100 4 times this season, and they scored 96 another time. I mean, they can put up a lot of points, and they've done that quite a bit. And talk about playing that tough schedule. I mean, you're playing Amarillo, Lovejoy, Cy Springs, They're playing a lot of Glen Rose. They beat Glen Rose by 10. They beat Alito by 3. So they're going out and they are scheduling hard so that they can get there. So yeah, I think Decatur's going to be the real deal.
I'll jump
I
in
was,
too.
oh,
I, I'm kind of the opposite. I think La Vega's been there, done it until somebody beats them. I have a hard time picking against them out of the Region 3, Region 4. But now Coach Grana is extremely good, and like you said, if her kids shoot it, and if they do, if they're, it's a contrasting style, very much so. And I think that's really what that game's going to come down to. And I'm going to go with La Vega on that one. The other side of it, Decatur and Maybank. Decatur's led by the Peck sisters, junior Braylon and freshman Sailor, and I've seen them in person. They're extremely good. They play pack line. They run 8 or 9 people deep. They switch everything. They full court you. They can get up and down and go, or they can grind it out too. In that game, Decatur versus Maybank. Maybank won the Region 2. They were second in their district. They were second in our district behind us. They've got some good size. They've got some good shooters. They're going to give Decatur problems with some of what they do, but I think ultimately Decatur's ability to guard 94 feet is going to give them a lot of problems. So I'm going to take Decatur and La Vega in the finals, and I'm going to take Decatur to win it all. In the finals. But again, the Fredericksburg and La Vega is very much a toss-up game. That's a tough one. I'd love to see that one in person.
All right. So we are 5A Division 2. We have Monterey, which is 35-5, and Memorial 33-7. And on the other game is Barbers Hill, which is 32-7, and Liberty Hill, which is 35-4.
I mean, 5A is my division. I haven't seen Monterey or Frisco Memorial. I haven't seen either one of those two play, but I know that I do wish that this Final Four matchup was in San Antonio, because I think a lot of people want to see Aaliyah Chavez, and what she brings to the table. I mean, she's averaging over 35 a game and just controls the game. So they beat Argyle the other night, and Argyle's always a tough out no matter what. So I think that's going to be, if I don't know anything really at all about Frisco Memorial, but I know that Monterey's and Aaliyah's not the only one they've got. They've got another guard that's I think going Division 1 also. So they've got 2 really good girls over there. And then on the other side of it, Barbers Hill, you got Brian Harris's squad, and he does a great job over there with them, and getting them. He's got them going, and they're playing well. They make deep playoff runs every single year, and Barbers Hill's been to the state tournament multiple times. He's got a couple girls that can go, and he does great. And then you got Liberty Hill, who's in our neighboring district, and Liberty Hill, their point guard she's just an absolute stud. And but I feel like with Liberty Hill, if you can frustrate that point guard, if you can frustrate her and you can kind of get in her head, I feel like you give yourself a chance against them. And that's the main thing with them, being able to frustrate them that way. And then they got several girls that can shoot it, and they rebound the ball extremely well. So as long as Barbers Hill can guard the 3 and can block out, I think Barbers Hill has a shot. But Liberty Hill, with their overall guard play, Liberty Hill's who I'd probably give the nod to Liberty Hill in that game.
Yeah, so I saw Monterey play in Hoop Fest down here in Duncanville, and I mean, just watching Aaliyah, she's just a sensation, of course, across the country. But their point guard is pretty good too, Ambrosia Cole. She's really good. They got a post down there who can finish around the rim. But also on the other side of things, Barbers Hill. Well, I'll start with Frisco Memorial. Frisco Memorial is very well coached. They're fast, they're quick, they play really good defense. I saw them early. We had a Pink October event up here. I think it'll actually be a really good matchup. Just like Coach Sanders said, they did play Argyle the other day, and they held Aaliyah, I think, to 15 points. They just couldn't pull it out in the end. But I do think that it'll be a really good matchup if they can contain both of them, because Frisco does have a really good point guard as well. On the other side of things, we play Barbers Hill in the Aggieland Invitational and College Station this year, and it was our first game, so we came out hot. But Barbers Hill, they don't give up. They have a really nice sophomore guard. She's really nice. She's great build. She can shoot it. She can rebound. I think they're very well coached as well. They actually fought back. I think we were up by 20. They came back and cut it within 4. So they're really, like I said, really well coached. He has a good system over there. I do think whoever comes out on top of this Monterey and Frisco Memorial game will probably win it all in the final down there in San Antonio.
I'll speak to Barbers Hill and Liberty Hill. I do think I'm going to pick Liberty Hill on this one. I think that something that gets overlooked a lot of times is like a true solid person who wants to post up and do their job down low. And I think that Evie Bruce is one of the best I've seen do it all year. You don't look at her and think that's going to happen, but it does. You know, she's committed to Chattanooga. She's going to go play there. She, in my opinion, really, really makes them what they are. I know the head of the snake is their point guard. And I tend to disagree. I think if you frustrate her, I think it fuels her and it makes her really, really turn it to a whole nother level when she starts to feel frustrated. So I'm going to pick them. Even I know Barbers Hill is good. I know they're well coached. I think they have some good pieces, but I just think the total package goes to Liberty Hill because of the post play, the guard play, the point guard, the shooting ability. They defend. I think that they're the favorite there. And then, you know, Monterey with Aaliyah Chavez, I think this is their moment. I mean, they've been knocked out. What was it? A double overtime game last year to make it to the semifinals, I believe. I think this is their time. I think that they're primed and ready for it. And I picked them to win that matchup. And then I think that they'll win it all as well.
Okay. 5A Division 1, we have Red Oak, which is 24-11, and Ryan, which is 30-7. Then Georgetown, 33-4, and then Wagner, San Antonio Wagner, 33-3. It does, and this is another. Wagner was coming out the second place out of Division 1. So that I think out of all of these teams, there was only 2, and they are one of them. Which I know rankings doesn't make the game, but just thought that was interesting.
Well, I'll say this: Wagner's in my district, and they were co-district champs. They split with Piper.
Okay.
Piper beat them first round of district at Piper, and then second round Wagner handled them. I believe it was 44-23. I'm just throwing that off the top of my head. That Wagner beat Piper, and then they matched up in the regional finals. Those two matched up again. So it was a very tough district with having both of those two in there. And so they did a coin flip is what they did to determine the district champ.
Oh, okay.
And Wagner lost the coin flip. And so the first round matchup was Wagner, who was number 1, against Glenn and Kenny Mann, who was number 2. So that was our first round matchup, was number 1 versus number 2 in the state. And it lived up to the hype. And that was Wagner pulled that out by 1. That game went back and forth. I watched it. That game was back and forth the entire game. It was a tie game with 5 seconds left, and L.A. Sneed, who's going to Utah, she got fouled and went to the line and made one out of two free throws, and Wagner pulled it out by one, and then from then on they kind of cruised through the playoffs till they got to Piper, and I think they beat Piper by 10 or 12 the other night. But Wagner is good, and they've got a couple of other young guards that are really good as well. Wagner defends. They put a lot of pressure on the ball, and they play very fast, and they can shoot the ball well. The one thing that Wagner lacks is size. So if they run into somebody that's got a real good true post player, I think that can give them some problems, or problems on the boards. But um, I think Wagner's going to be really good and really tough to beat in the 5A D1.
I think, man, I just cannot count out the GOAT, Rhonda Farney, in this one. I mean, Eagle fight never dies, and she's got to be on her way out and wants to go out with a bang. Like, it's tough. I feel like if they don't get in foul trouble, because she does have two bigs. I mean, they're twins. They're the twin towers. They protect the rim. If they can handle, not getting caught off guard by these little ones, dribble, drive, and kick kind of stuff, and stay out of foul trouble, I think they have a chance to upset Wagner. Reese Holdley is a sniper. She is shooting the mess and the leather off of the ball right now for Georgetown. I mean, she's had multiple 27, 30-point games for them. And, Bella Dabbs is their point guard, and she is a tough-nosed little snake also. I mean, she's the head of them. They got some other kids that are role players for them. I think Coach Farney's a mastermind. She's going to have the plan. She's going to have a solid plan. If the players can execute, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a great matchup to watch. I can't root against Rhonda, so I'm gonna have to. I played for her. She was my high school coach. I'm gonna pick Georgetown in that one, and then I think the other side of it with Ryan and Red Oak. I don't think Ryan really played a tough schedule. I think Red Oak did. If you look at their schedule, and I think the strength of that schedule was pretty hefty. They're led by two sophomores, and that could be something that might bite them in the rear end, just by being led by two young kids. But I'm going to pick Red Oak in that one, and then I think whoever wins that Wagner Georgetown game wins it all.
I agree.
Okay. All right, and then lastly, we have our 6A. Division 2, Boswell and Lancaster, and Hightower and Churchill.
So I'll start if you guys don't mind. I'm very familiar with all of these teams because most of them are up here, but Boswell was in our district, and man, first of all, I can't stand playing them. I love John Reese. He's known me for my whole life. It's really tough playing them just, because they're just so well coached. He always has a lot of athletes. They were first in our district. We actually came second behind them, but their defense is atrocious. Just simply trying to, alleviate that pressure off of the ball. They run a trap defense full court. The only thing is with Boswell, they don't have a bench. So Camille, she's going to Miami. She's a stud. If she gets in foul trouble a lot, so her and Haley Jones, she was a JUCO product. She's actually committed to small D1 now. But if you can get them in foul trouble, you might have a chance. You might. However, Boswell's they're such a powerhouse right now. It's hard to beat them. They lost a Geyer this year. I was there at that game. They shouldn't have lost. It was very interesting. And then they lost to it was not Camden. The team out of Arkansas. They're really good. So they gave them a little trouble with pressure, but Camille fouls out in third quarter, so you just don't really have a bench. As far as Lancaster, I'm very well familiar with them as well. They've shocked a lot of people. They've shocked me. I did not expect them to be in, the state semis. Honestly, I did watch them against Cy Springs. they have a lot of kids who just play really hard for Coach Howard. Just given her experience, she has a system. She just has kids who are just gonna, go out there and just sacrifice everything that they have, because in their opinion, they do have something to prove. Given all the, the news that happened earlier this year. So I think that, they're going to be definitely a force to be reckoned with, just simply because of how she does coach, and just how she runs her program. On the other side, who do we have on the other side?
Hightower and Churchill.
Fort Bend.
Yeah, Hightower. They're pretty good. I haven't seen them play a whole lot. I did see Churchill play this year. I think that's actually going to be a good game. But Hightower, I know how good they were last year. So I don't know too much about them. But I do think that Boswell is actually going to pull it out this year. That's who I'm rooting for, simply because I do think that we were in a pretty tough district this year. But
I agree with that, Boswell. They run our tournament. Our tournament's the first full weekend of the season, and it's really fun to watch and kind of make predictions early. We have some of the top talent there, and when I saw Boswell play, I picked him to win our tournament the first time I saw him play their first game, and they ended up winning our tournament. And I mean, that Camille she's special. She can score it at 3 levels. Then nothing rattles her. She is stoic. She just plays. She doesn't get too high. She doesn't get too low. She really runs that team, and they respect her. You can tell that. And I agree with Coach Reese is just awesome. I mean, he could have gotten upset with some of the officiating. He didn't. He just stays even keeled. They're a reflection of him, and they're so poised. And I think that poise is going to give them the advantage against Lancaster. I think Lancaster does play fast. They play, that both teams have multiple kids in double figures. I think Lancaster has all 5 starters and averaging double figures. Boswell has 4, averaging double figures. They both have kids that rebound. They play a little bit differently, with Boswell running their zones. I call it their zone because they double team a lot. They do that kind of thing. Lancaster's just more grit, running through the walls, doing everything. But I'm picking Boswell in that just because of the poise. I feel like I think that's going to carry them, and that guard is, like I said, she's really special. On the other side, Hightower and Churchill. I'm going to pick Churchill in this one. We actually played them last year in the regional quarterfinals to go to the regional semifinals, and they were young. Like, they're still young, but they were all sophomores last year. This year they're mostly juniors. They're led by several kids on that team that just really, their whole starting 5 is solid. They shoot it well. They shoot it really well. Their little point guard is, she's gritty. She's feisty. She's a competitive spirit. Like, she doesn't quit. She doesn't give up. They've got a 6'1" power forward that plays the post really, but she's really good. They've managed to knock off Judson. Judson was number 1 in the state in 6A, and they beat them. And so I see them continuing to get better and better and better. They believe in their system. They believe in their coach. They share the ball. I picked them in that game, but I do think the winner of, I feel like Boswell's going to win it all for that division for sure.
Okay. All right. And then the last Division 1 6A, we have Plano East against Cedar Hill, and then Summer Creek, and then Cibola Steel.
I'll start again because I'm familiar with all. With Plano East, we just lost to Plano East Friday night. It was a nail biter the whole game. I think that freshman that they have, she's definitely top in the country. She gave us problems. Hand in the face, it didn't matter. She was not affected. I think I had over 8 films of her, and she kind of got tired out that second half. And you would think as a freshman, they've never been there before, something might rattle. No, nothing, absolutely nothing. I had my best defender on her the whole game. just trying to tire her out, but she is a great build. She has a great body on her. She doesn't shoot it a whole lot outside the perimeter, but she did on Friday night. She did everything. She got to the rim. She pulled up. I think that she's definitely a sensation. They have a point guard who's pretty decent, and they have a 4 guard who can shoot it. As far as who they're matching up against, Cedar Hill, of course, it's a shock to a lot of people that they beat Duncanville, but not me because I've been watching them all year. I think Coach Collins does a really good job over there with her defense. I think they can be a little bit out of control at times. However, they have a really nice point guard who's really good. They have a 3-level scorer. She runs a 4, but she can score it in any position that you put her in. So I do think it'll be a really good game. However, if they can't guard Ari, I mean, I see Plano East definitely going to the final because Plano East runs a nice, zone where they pack the paint. You can't get in there because they have, 2 bigs back there. That's what gave us a lot of problems. So I actually have Plano East coming off on top of Cedar Hill because I know that if we would have matched up with them, it would have been a quote unquote better matchup than Plano East. On the other side, I do think that I don't know that one's a kind of a tough one for me. But as far as the final, I don't know who would win it all. Honestly, I know that was a toss up when we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. So I mean, it should be a pretty good a pretty good final in San Antonio.
All right. I know them all really well too. So, oh my gosh, they're good matchups and I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. I'll go Plano East and Cedar Hill. I'm like you, Plano East, the freshman, she's something else. I mean, and her offers, she has what, 20 plus offers, like big D1 schools. We're not talking about mid-major alumni, and these are powerhouses that she already has offers from, and she's a baby still. But yeah, I mean, I watched y'all's game. She had a double double in that game, which she had 28 and 11 or something like that.
Half their
She
points.
she is a 3-level scorer. I think, the 3 might be the developing piece of her game, but she can shoot it and she's tough. And then the other guard that goes along with her, I think she's really good too. Cedar Hill. Oh, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. I think that they played their best game to beat Duncanville. And I think that something happens when that happens. You kind of like, well, we beat Duncanville. And I hope that I'm wrong, but I hope that they didn't put all their eggs in that basket. And then, I know their coach won't allow that, but it's the players that sometimes feel that way, that the matchup with Plano East, they may not realize it's as big as it is because it's not Duncanville. I hope I'm wrong because I think it could be a good game, but I do pick Plano East coming out on top of that. On the other side, Summer Creek and Steele. Summer Creek was at our tournament. They've gotten better and better. I mean, they did okay there. They lost some games that I think that now they would win. They just improved. I think that they share the ball well. I think that they believe in what they're doing. They have a lot of speed. I think that they're really good. They're playing their best basketball right now, which Steele, I mean, they knocked off Brennan in overtime. What was that, just yesterday? Gosh, it feels like so long ago. It was literally just yesterday. That was a good game. Jasmine Travis, that's their big 6'4" sophomore, her ceiling is so high. She hasn't even begun to tap into it, but she's already really good right now. This might be, in my opinion, the best Steel team that I've seen in a while there. And that might have come as a surprise. New coach, they're playing really, really well. So I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going to pick Steel in that one just because I just think that 6'4" kid is really special and she does whatever is necessary to win the game. And I think that's going to be a tough matchup for Summer Creek. And then I'm picking Plano East to win the whole thing.
Yeah, with the Summer Creek, we actually beat them in the McDonald's tournament by 30 to win third, but they were missing their best player, and she's really good. I'm not saying she's necessarily a 30-point, difference maker, but they do run their system a lot differently with her. They do have a big, but like you said, I don't think it'll be a matchup against the 6'4" kid. So I think that's what's going to give Summer Creek, you know, kind of a little bit of trouble because of the height. They struggle with our height, and my kid, you know, my kid, number 23,
Yeah.
but you know, she didn't do nothing against you. So, I mean, I just think that with Summer Creek, they have the experience, but Cibolo hasn't been there in a while. But I think Cibolo is a lot hungrier, honestly. I think Summer
Mhm.
Creek is playing their best ball right now, but you know, when you get to that type of, you know, ceiling, you get too complacent at times, and I could be wrong. However, I do think that, you know, right now Plano East is playing some really good basketball, beating SGP. So I mean, my pick would be SGP and Cibolo in the final, honestly. And I got Plano East winning it all. So.
Okay. All right, well, that's it. And it looks like there's gonna be some great games around the state and in San Antonio. I thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I know Coach Tucker last minute jumping on. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Um, anything else that y'all have? Okay. All right, well, I'll send this to Lee and thank you again.
See y'all later. Thank y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Hi, everyone.